An old woman was humiliated by racist colleagues until her billionaire husband bought the company. When people look at you with contempt, they never imagine that the gray-haired lady who serves coffee might be the wife of the most powerful man in the city, the one who just bought the company where they work and will decide each of their fates. Subscribe if this story finds you and let me know where in the world you're watching from. Mary Johnson, a 68-year-old black woman, walked through the corridors of Nexus Enterprises with discreet steps and an upright posture. Her gray hair, always impeccably arranged in a traditional bun, matched her simple yet elegant suit, purchased from a department store during a sale. Working as an administrative assistant in the company at 68 wasn't a choice, but a necessity she had embraced with dignity after the supposed death of her husband, Richard, in a helicopter accident 3 months earlier. Nexus Enterprises was known for its hostile and elitist environment. Located in one of Manhattan's most imposing skyscrapers, the technology and investment company was run by white executives who flaunted Ivy League degrees and considerable fortunes. The few black people who worked there invariably occupied support or maintenance positions. That Monday morning, the company's CEO, William Blackwell, a 50-year-old man with a perpetually arrogant expression, gathered all employees in the main lobby. "Nexus will undergo a change of ownership," he announced in a firm voice. "An anonymous investor has acquired 75% of the company's shares. Over the next few weeks, the new owner will be observing our operations through a representative who will circulate among us. I want everyone to demonstrate absolute excellence and commitment." Curious glances swept the room, speculating about the identity of the mysterious buyer. Mary remained in a corner, almost invisible to her colleagues, observing with attentive and experienced eyes. It didn't take long for Mary's presence to arouse her colleagues' disdain. That same afternoon, she was assigned to prepare the meeting room for an executive gathering. "Hey, Grandma, do you really think you can organize everything in time?" Jessica Reynolds, a young marketing executive, taunted. "Maybe we should call someone more updated." Laughter echoed through the room. Mary continued her work in silence, adjusting the chairs with meticulous precision. "And try not to leave your fingerprints on the crystal glasses. We know people like you aren't used to fine things," added Brian Smith, the operations director, exchanging complicit looks with Jessica. Mary just nodded and continued her work, but her eyes for a brief moment revealed a spark of something that no one there could decipher. On Wednesday, Brian summoned Mary to his office. On his desk was a confidential dossier. "I need you to organize this information before tomorrow's meeting, and don't you dare read the contents. These are matters far beyond your comprehension." Mary took the dossier carefully. "Yes, sir. May I suggest an ordering by strategic relevance and potential financial impact?" Brian frowned, surprised and slightly irritated by the unexpected suggestion. "Just organize by date, as we always do. Don't complicate what should be simple, even for someone like you." As she left the room, Mary heard Brian comment on the phone, "It's unbelievable that we still have to keep these relics around here. Diversity policy is a burden for companies that want efficiency." In the executive cafeteria, Mary usually ate alone at a corner table. That Thursday, as she savored her homemade sandwich, Jessica approached with a group of colleagues. "Mary, you know this space is reserved for executive-level employees, don't you?" Jessica smiled with false kindness. "Perhaps you would feel more comfortable in the ground floor cafeteria with the maintenance staff." "Pardon me, Miss Reynolds, but my badge authorizes me to use this space," Mary calmly replied, showing the badge that indeed had a gold stripe, indicating unrestricted access. "It must be an HR error," intervened Brian, who had just approached. "I'll request a correction immediately. In the meantime, Mary, please respect the spaces designated for each hierarchical level." Mary rose with dignity, gathered her belongings, and walked to the exit. Before leaving, she turned and said in a serene voice, "Sometimes, Mr. Smith, the most visible hierarchy is not the only one that matters." The enigmatic phrase left a brief tension in the air, quickly dissipated by the forced laughter of the group. On Friday, a buzz took over the company. The mysterious representative of the new owner would be present at the general meeting scheduled for the end of the day. All employees, without exception, should attend. "Mary, you'll be responsible for serving water and coffee during the meeting," William Blackwell ordered. "And make sure you look presentable. We don't want the new owner to think we hired just anyone." The comment provoked discreet laughter among the nearby executives. Mary nodded respectfully, but her eyes briefly revealed a gleam of anticipation that went unnoticed. Hours before the decisive meeting, Brian discovered he had forgotten a crucial document on his desk. Hurriedly returning to his office, he found Mary organizing his files. "What are you doing here?" he questioned aggressively. "Are you snooping through my documents?" "Just organizing as requested, Mr. Smith," Mary replied calmly. "In fact, I separated the financial report you'll need for today's meeting. I noticed there were some inconsistencies in the numbers on page." Brian snatched the document from Mary's hands. "How dare you question our reports? You barely know how to use a computer. If you mention anything about this to anyone, I'll make sure you're the first to be fired in the restructuring." Mary maintained her composure. "I just thought it might be helpful, sir. I apologize for the misunderstanding." As she left the room, Mary discreetly removed a small recording device from her blazer pocket and turned it off with a soft click. The tension in the conference room was palpable as the executives awaited the arrival of the new owner's representative. Mary entered discreetly, carrying a tray with water pitchers and crystal glasses. Jessica took the opportunity for another taunt. "Mary, these glasses cost more than your monthly salary. Please be careful." William Blackwell added with disdain, "Perhaps we should have hired professional waiters for this occasion. Someone more suitable." "Don't worry, Mr. Blackwell," Mary replied in a low voice. "I know exactly how much these glasses are worth. Crystal St. Louis, limited edition from 2015, approximately $300 each." The specific knowledge surprised those present but was quickly dismissed as irrelevant. While serving water to Brian, Mary accidentally dropped a few drops on his Italian suit. "You incompetent old woman," Brian exploded, rising abruptly. "This is why people like you should retire instead of occupying positions that you clearly cannot perform adequately." The room fell into absolute silence. Mary, for the first time, revealed an expression of genuine hurt. Without saying a word, she headed for the door, only to be interrupted by the arrival of a middle-aged black man, impeccably dressed in a tailored Armani suit. "I apologize for the delay," announced the man with a deep, authoritative voice. William Blackwell rose promptly. "You must be the representative of the new owner. Welcome to Nexus Enterprises. We were just—" "I know exactly what was happening," interrupted the man. His eyes scanned the room, stopping at Mary, who remained near the door. "Mary, are you okay?" An astonished silence took over the environment. Brian and Jessica exchanged confused looks. "I'm fine, Marcus," Mary replied with a slight smile. "Just a small incident." Marcus Johnson, executive director of Johnson Holdings and one of the most influential men in the financial sector, walked up to Mary and gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "I believe my father won't be happy to know how you've been treated." "Your father?" stammered William, visibly paling. Marcus smiled. "Allow me to introduce Mary Johnson, wife of Richard Johnson, founder of Johnson Holdings and new majority owner of Nexus Enterprises." The shock was instantaneous. Brian fell heavily into his chair, while Jessica covered her mouth with her hands. "But Richard Johnson died in an accident," muttered William. The news about my father's death was strategically exaggerated, explained Marcus, a necessary maneuver to finalize some business without unwanted interference. My stepmother kindly agreed to help us, temporarily assuming a position here to observe the corporate culture before we finalized the acquisition. Mary smiled serenely at the shocked room. I must say it was quite an educational experience. Marcus led Mary to the place of honor at the head of the table. Now I believe we can officially start this meeting. My father couldn't be present, but he requested a detailed report on my visit. William tried to regain his composure. Mrs. Johnson, I need to explain that there has been a terrible misunderstanding. The behavior you witnessed doesn't reflect our company's values. Mary slightly raised her hand, silencing him with an elegant gesture. There's no need for explanations, Mr. Blackwell. The last 3 months have been extremely enlightening. I was able to observe, firsthand, how employees are treated based on their age, race, and perceived position. But Mrs. Johnson, Brian, desperately intervened. If there was any misunderstanding, there was no misunderstanding at all, Mr. Smith interrupted Mary, removing the small recording device from her pocket. Each interaction was meticulously documented, including your observations about the inconsistencies in the financial report that you forbade me from mentioning. Mary now spoke with a natural authority that had always been present, but deliberately contained. Her posture, her tone of voice, and her gaze revealed a woman accustomed to navigating corporate environments at the highest level. Johnson Holdings is not just an investment company, explained Mary. It's an institution with values founded on ethics, respect, and genuine inclusion. Richard and I built our fortune starting from nothing, facing obstacles that many of you would never understand. Mary opened a folder that Marcus handed her. These are the individual evaluations I prepared on each executive present. I based them not on your polished presentations during formal meetings, but on your daily attitudes, especially when you believed you were dealing with someone insignificant. The room remained in sepulchral silence as Mary calmly leafed through the documents before her. Jessica Reynolds, Mary began, looking directly at the now visibly pale young executive. Competent in marketing, no doubt, but your tendency to build relationships based on hierarchy and intimidation reveals a fundamental fragility in your capacity for authentic leadership. Jessica lowered her eyes, unable to sustain Mary's gaze. Brian Smith, your technical skills are unquestionable, but your ethics are flexible, to say the least. Suppressing information about financial discrepancies is something that Johnson Holdings considers unacceptable. Brian swallowed hard, fidgeting uncomfortably in his chair. William Blackwell. Mary paused, studying the CEO with a penetrating look. A leader who models the behavior I witnessed is not qualified to lead any company in our portfolio. Mary closed the folder and looked at each executive present before continuing. Johnson Holdings acquired Nexus, not just as a financial investment, but as an opportunity for transformation. Our preliminary assessment indicated that the company has extraordinary potential, hampered by a toxic culture that stifles true innovation. Marcus distributed documents to those present. This is our restructuring plan. Some of you will remain in your positions. Others will be reassigned or invited to seek opportunities in other companies. William Blackwell, Brian Smith, and Jessica Reynolds received documents marked with a distinctive red code. Their faces reflected the immediate understanding of the message contained in the papers. However, continued Mary, I genuinely believe in people's capacity for transformation. Therefore, we are offering an alternative. Mary stood up and walked slowly around the table, her presence now completely dominating the environment that had once treated her as invisible. Those marked for dismissal have an alternative option. Johnson Holdings is launching a new initiative focused on underserved communities in Baltimore, Detroit, and New Orleans. We need leaders willing to work directly with people you would not normally consider your peers. Mary stopped beside Jessica. Miss Reynolds, your talent in marketing would be valuable in creating campaigns that truly connect marginalized people to real opportunities. Continuing to Brian, Mary added, Mr. Smith, your analytical capacity could be redirected to identify systemic inefficiencies that perpetuate economic inequality. Finally, positioning herself beside William, Mary concluded, Mr. Blackwell, your leadership experience, if reoriented by more inclusive values, could catalyze significant changes. A reflective silence hung over the room as the three executives confronted a choice they had never anticipated. Mary returned to the head of the table, where Marcus awaited her with a discreet smile of admiration. The decision is entirely yours, Mary said in a firm voice. But remember, the true measure of a leader is not in the power they exercise over others, but in the dignity with which they treat those who apparently have nothing to offer them. This was the most valuable lesson I learned alongside Richard during our 50 years together, building an empire that never forgot its humble origins. Mary looked out the panoramic window that revealed Manhattan's skyline bathed in the sunset. After all, we are all invisible until the moment we truly choose to see each other. In the weeks that followed, Nexus Enterprises underwent a profound transformation. To the surprise of many, Jessica Reynolds accepted the proposed challenge and discovered an unexpected passion for social impact marketing. Brian Smith chose to leave the company, preferring a generous severance package to the challenge of reinvention. William Blackwell, after a week of reflection, requested a private meeting with Mary and Richard Johnson, initiating a mentoring process that would gradually dissolve layers of prejudice cultivated over decades. As for Mary, she returned to her true position as co-president of Johnson Holdings, carrying with her valuable lessons about humility, resilience, and the transformative power of seeing beyond appearances in both directions. Contempt can be a silent wound, but in the right hands, it can also transform into a catalyst for changes that transcend the individual and reach the collective. If you've come this far and this story has touched your heart, I invite you to keep this faith alive with us by subscribing to the channel and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any stories that touch the soul. And if this story has moved you, give it a like so we can continue sharing more stories like this one, made with all our hearts. Until next time.